Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is the birth chart for pop star Aaliyah. She's one of my favorite singers. I grew up in that era of R&B. And I just want to pinpoint a couple things that most people know about her. We can look here at the midheaven. We see she has Venus at 8 degrees right on the midheaven, and Neptune is there as well in the 10th house. And of course, these planets have to do with creative ability, musical ability, and that's what she's known for, as she's mostly known for being a musician. And those planets are ruled by Jupiter being there, Sagittarius being there on the midheaven. So we can come down here to Jupiter and look and see already, we can start to see the connections in the chart. She has Jupiter in Leo, and it's making a trine to Venus. That's a good luck, very fortunate aspect in astrology. I just did Rafa Nadal's chart. I'll link that down in the description. I'll link everything I mentioned down in the description, by the way, when I do these videos. And he had that trine in his chart. These are very fortunate people coming into life, and we can see that through these Jupiter Venus contacts. She's also could be considered a genius, a very unique talent. And we see here the ruler of the chart, Aquarius being on the rising, is Uranus, and it's there in Jupiter's house in Scorpio. It's also making a sextile to the Sun and Mars there in the 12th house. And the Sun is in Capricorn, Mars is in Capricorn, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. But with the Sun and Mars being in the 12th house, we come back here to that Neptune being known as this musical talent, creative ability. She often did really cool videos and would dance in the videos as well. As you could consider her a great dancer. And we see that there in the 12th house, which is associated with Neptune and Pisces. She also has South Node in the 1st house, and that is ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. So more Pisces, all of the things I mentioned just really show how powerful her chart is when it comes to creative ability and musical ability. And with the South Node being in the 1st house, she's coming from a place of self and really working on the self and these abilities that she has because of essentially because of her body and the things she does with her body and her voice. And we see that all relating to the Jupiter there in Leo, with the ruler of that South Node being Jupiter. And she has a lot of earth qualities. So we see the North Node in the 7th in Virgo, ruled by Mercury. And Saturn is there in Virgo, moving towards the North Node. And I also just did a video on the North Node. I'll link that down in the description. And it shows here that she's living a life where it's a fruition type life, where a lot of the things she's worked on, i.e. that South Node stuff I talked about, a lot of the stuff that she's worked on, it's coming to fruition in this life. And we see that with the North Node and Saturn. And it's in Virgo. And we see that ruler, the Mercury in Capricorn, the Sun in Capricorn, the Mars in Capricorn. So she has a lot of earth. And really in this life, bringing all those abilities into a practical place, selling the albums and doing the performances, etc. She's bringing those abilities into the public space and making money off them. We can see that here with all the earth. And you see the Sun, Mars. So Mars is exalted in Capricorn. She's very much driven to be at the top of the industry as one of the best R&B performers ever. She has the work ethic at a young age. You see the work ethic at being 13, 14, 15 years old. Very precocious, for for a person in the industry. I mean, you often see people being precocious in the music industry, so it's nothing really that different. We just in the music industry, you just often see young people doing really well. We see the moon is in Virgo as well. And you see, the other thing I want to mention with the Earth is that she has that the moon in Virgo and the North Node, and there's some inconjuncts in this chart where she's, and you see the Jupiter too, the Jupiter in the sixth. She's good at making adjustments and analyzing things. I mean, that's probably why you could see the dance moves. She's probably someone who's very analytical in those productions to just to get everything right. Could be somewhat of a perfectionist. And the ruler of that North Node, Mercury, being in the 11th, the house of friends, very likable. And you see also with the moon squaring the Venus, moving into a square with Venus, very likable person with that moon Venus contact, and the Mercury, the ruler of that North Node in the 11th, the Uranus ruling the rising. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, which is associated with friends. Maybe that's why I liked her music as well, because I have Jupiter in the 11th. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is she's also known for this relationship with R. Kelly, and she was probably 15 at the time. He was like 20, maybe 20, 21 or something, like not that old. And we see this with the Aquarius and Uranus and this moon Mars, the Venus Mars phase that is, I forget what it's called, but it's close to the balsamic phase. And also, I'm going to, if you're interested in astrology and Mars Venus, I'm going to get into the phases of Mars Venus and how they deal with relationships. So subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that. But also seeing the Venus here in the midheaven, the strong Uranus, the Aquarius rising, the ruler of the North Node in the 11th. This relationship with R. Kelly is something that's what's considered taboo. To the consensus is that it's very Uranian and different, and that she was too young. That's too young to be with someone of that age. Although in many countries that's actually quite normal. A person coming to the age of puberty, that's not something different, but in the United States, that's very taboo. So we see that in the chart as well, and where she's coming from on a soul level, Pluto being in the 8th, and also that Uranus in the 8th. So she has this Scorpio sense to her, and that relationship was could definitely be correlated with Scorpio, because as I said, that is something dark, taboo, and misunderstood by the majority of people in a modern country, specifically the United States. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and I hope this chart was interesting, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and look forward to more astrology birth chart analysis.